Hi everyone, Anthony F. Word here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Vince Staples album, Dark Times. This is a brand new LP from Long Beach rapper and songwriter Mr. Vince Staples. In fact, it's his 6th.
Oh, you're talking about You know what I'd like to do to
Please, God, no.
Why, I want to take him and I just want to give him a big ol' hug. A big huggly wuggly. I might even cook him his favorite food.
Why are you still wearing that?
Leave me alone. You don't know me. I'm anonymous. Ooh.
But, yeah, again, this is Vince's 6th record, and I think it's one of his strongest yet. Based mostly on just a very simple but sturdy set of good song structures, some hooks that really pop off, focused central themes, creative production choices, solid rapping, with lyrics that lend a lot of food for thought, introspective bars. It's a record that lives up to its title as well, Dark Times, especially with this intro track that has this cinematic music bed, a chilling spoken word line as well that segues pretty quickly right into the first full track on the record, Black and Blue, which features some nice soul chops, a big boom bap beat, a sleepy and depressive vocal delivery, though that's not too much of a surprise because Vince is kind of known for subtlety and low-key vibes. I mean, that's kind of what made Ramona Park, as well as his self-titled before that, so significant. And while I do feel like sonically Vince is being outshined by the beat a little bit on this one, the commentary that he's making on melancholy, as well as the systematic poverty impacting the Black community, is sharp. It feels like we're hearing the underground West Coast internet rap version of something like Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. Overall, the track is a pretty good start, but I think there is a stronger showing on Government Cheese coming next, which features an entrancing beat and piano arpeggio, as well as these kind of wailing West Coast eerie G-funk synth leads that when they come together, it feels like something from the Odd Future catalog, but like, very early, like Bastard era. The dark and hopeless lyrical framing of the previous track continues on to this one, though the hook kind of creates sort of a juxtaposition, reminding the listener or anybody going through something similar to smile and keep their head up, which in one breath could be taken as a note of encouragement, but simultaneously, the obvious tragedy to a lot of what Vince is saying on this track is that losing something like your inner child is pretty much an inevitability. And I think the Liars interlude later into the record reinforces a lot of these same feelings, as its dialogue is very much about staying functional and presenting as happy for those around you, even if on the inside you're suffering and really not doing well. The creative streak on this record continues on to Children's Song, which is a piece of loose and lo-fi detuned psych rap with dubby delays and fried guitar chops. This track is definitely a part of Vince's tradition of picking some really interesting and creative beats that I think most rappers wouldn't even touch. The song also opens up with a hilarious reference, pressing 5 till the pen, free my Aphex Twin. And the whole song is a really cute cut about how serene and chill Vince likes to maintain his life. Don't call him after 8 o'clock. He has an early bedtime. The first relative low point on the record, I think, comes in the form of Shame on the Devil, which again tries to reinforce the moody vibes of the rest of the record, but songwriting wise, I just kind of feel like this track is meh personified, even if we do get a couple memorable bars out of it, one of which is referenced in the final track on the record in a pretty smart way, which I should note there's a general interconnectedness to the album that I really appreciate. Even during some of the tracks I'm a little underwhelmed by, because even those moments on the record don't feel super out of place or anything like that. The entire thing is very cohesively a heady exploration of depression and kind of this process of overcoming this feeling of desperation. The highlights on the LP continue with ÉTOUFFÉE, which again is another low-key cut on the record, but still, it's very groovy, it's catchy, it's danceable. There's a similar itch being scratched on a song Little Homies later on the LP, and it hits just as hard too. The former also features some funny meta commentary with Vince talking about being perceived as kind of falling off ever since the release of his album Big Fish.
Theory.
Deeper into the LP, we also have Justin, which is this kind of big, funny, narrative, Biz Markie style romance type story, which for a moment is endearing with Vince kind of falling for this girl that he's rapping about. But then suddenly, as he's hanging with her, her boyfriend shows up, and then in order to smooth things over and prevent anything from popping off, she introduces Vince as her little cousin. Radio also has an endearing start, and it stays that way. There's no rug pull at the end. It's a nostalgia joint with Vince rapping about the way radio inspired him as a music fan, talking about the stations he would listen to, the artists he enjoyed hearing songs from, making some clever lyrical references to hits they've had over the years. There's even actually an awesome reference to Blues Below the Heavens, which I absolutely love. And yeah, if you've been paying attention to Vince's catalog, the radio obviously plays a pretty important role for him in his life, especially considering it's pretty much the whole concept around his FM album. Again, in the track list, I think Little Homies is the last major highlight. Free Man continues to offer some interesting food for thought, but without any kind of real major resolutions or revelations. Not even a strong chorus, but there is a good bass line, and Vince does lyrically detail some attempts on his part to try to change what he sees as this crabs in a bucket mentality, and instead opt for some kind of collective growth thing where he offers opportunities to those who might not have been afforded them in the same way that he was due to his success in music, which makes sense because there are some pretty important pockets of the record that are devoted to the way things like a lack of opportunity breeding jealousy and hatred. Then the closing track is a passionate spoken word outro that tries to take a lot of these specific inequities that the album is dealing with, that Vince has experienced or witnessed personally, and then expand them out into these broader assessments about humanity, creativity, the paths that we find ourselves on based on the choices we make. Musically, I'm not gleaning as much from it as I am many other songs on the record, but you could say this track does finish the project off at a high point philosophically, and it does tie up a lot of the major themes of the record, which leaves me feeling like Dark Times is really Vince's most big picture record to date, even if I was left wanting a little more from some of the tracks in terms of choruses, length, details. But yeah, it's impressive he was able to pull these narratives and this thematic, this emotional focus off as great as he did, considering just how brief and to the point the album is. It really does bring you everything you need and nothing you don't. You get steady rapping, you get thoughtful bars, you get good production choices, you get plenty of catchy moments as well, and then on top of that, Vince also offers some of his most emotionally potent and profound cuts to date, which is why I'm feeling a light 8 on this project. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Vince Staples, forever.